Okay, we're holding on exactly on the top of Kuf Lamed Beis, 132. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. In the schus of our learning, we should have a base of Migdash. Learning Luli Nishma, Savagol, the Basper, Binyamin, and San Ben Betzian, and also for Shleim of Rabban David Ben Sarah. Okay, so the Gemara before was talking about when someone gives all his property to his wife. He doesn't actually mean to give it to her. He means to make her the apotropos, which is the caretaker of the property. And the reason why he does that is because he wants the children to respect her, to listen to her. Well, we had some questions on that. We said, well, it won't apply in certain cases. That's what we said. It won't apply if it's his betrothed wife. It won't apply if it's his divorced wife, his ex-wife. In other words, sometimes he gives something away, and he's not really giving it away. He's only making that person a caretaker. Boy, Rav has a question. What would happen if he did this while he was still healthy? This wasn't on his deathbed. Now, the way he would do this, he would say, he's not giving it now as a gift now. He's giving it for after he dies, but he gives it when he's still healthy. Actually, it could also be if he gives it now. Same malacha would apply. Do we say that this is an actual gift, or do we say that he just wants the children to respect it? So, if he's on his deathbed, he's interested that they should listen to her after he passes away. He's on his deathbed. He wants to set up the everything in proper order. But if he's healthy, he's still around. They'll listen to whatever he says. And if he says to listen to her, then they'll listen to her. So he doesn't need to give her a gift for this. He doesn't need to make her in charge of the property in order for them to listen to her, because he's still healthy. So it must be, if he's giving it to her now, it must be that he's giving it to her as a real gift. Or maybe, even though when he's healthy, he wants them to listen to her, he wants them to get used to listening to her because she's wealthy and she's in charge of the money. And it's just training them. So it's a big question over here. Is this considered a gift, or is this considered that he's making her an apotropos? Okay. Tashma. So come and listen. We're going to get a proof, but it's going to take us a few lines of Gemara down into the wide lines till we figure out what the Gemara is trying to say. All right? Tashma. It says, pre-save If someone gives the fruits of his property to his wife, he writes it in a document as a gift. So then she can still take her ksuba from somewhere else, from the property. In other words, it doesn't mean just because she's getting a gift now that she was meichel her ksuba. I don't know, just be, this could turn into an argument later on. So where's my ksuba? He says, what do you mean? I was giving you all the time fruits. No, but that's not what's happening. She can still collect her ksuba from property. Let's say he gave her also the fruits, a third or a half or a quarter. So goivik subasim in ashar. This is actually even if he's giving her property. But she can collect the ksuba from the other property that wasn't given to her. Kasav kol nechasav liishtay. Okay. When she goes to collect her ksuba, which is the payment of the ksuba. Okay, I should say that. The payment of the ksuba. So she collects from other property. If he writes all his property to his wife, now we think now, in order to clarify where this is headed, we think now that there's also children here. And you remember, if he gives all his property to his wife and there's children there, then he doesn't really give it to her. He's just making her an apotropos. So this is going to turn into a question because over here we're going to see that he is giving it to her. All right. And so it's not. It's we will look. We started off with the question: what happens if he gives all his property to his wife, and he's still healthy? Do we say that the same thing over there applies? That she should really be just an apotropos? And from this brisa that we're bringing, we're going to see that he gives it to her as a gift. Okay, so this is going to be our proof. But anyway, he writes there all his property. Now, this wasn't the best deal because the husband had a creditor that shows up with a document that precedes the document of this gift. Doesn't precede her ksuba, but it precedes the document of this gift. Now, if she's already received or been meichel or something, ksuba, then this guy can actually come and take away the property from the gift. So she could be in a difficult situation here. Rabbi Lezer says, Tikra matanasa v'tamer al ksubasa. She should quickly tear up the document of the gift, and she should just have her ksuba and say, well, I'll go to him and I'll collect it because my ksuba precedes the promissory note.
Wouldn't this person know that property has ksuba on it?
Yeah, but we're thinking that maybe when she takes this property as the gift, she may be forgiving the lien of the ksuba on this property. You follow? Because, yeah, the property has a lien on it for her ksuba. But when she takes this now, she forgoes the lien on this property because she's getting it. But then it turns out she doesn't get it, so but that lien may have already been forgone, forgiven.
The lien is a stronger.
Unless she forgives it. Yeah.
Well, she would forgive it if they're stronger.
Because she got it as a gift. Yeah.
She doesn't.
So the Rashbam says in Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says that she doesn't forgive the lien, and therefore you should tear up the later document of the gift, and she still has the lien of the ksuba.
What does this mean that she should tear up? Does this mean that she's made of kinyan on it? What does it matter if she tears up a piece of paper?
Because she has two rights to this.
Yeah.
She could come in as claiming that my husband gave it to me as a gift. She can come in claiming that I'm taking this for my ksuba.
Right.
She shouldn't come in with the claim that she's taking it as a gift. She should come in with the claim that she's taking it for the ksuba.
No, I understand, but tearing up a piece of paper doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. I think that's figurative.
Figure, so it means some way she relinquishes, she gives back.
That claim, yeah.
She gives back.
It's cardboard with star.
Yeah.
So technically, she's ripping it up. She never made it.
No, once you make the kinyan, even if you lose the star.
But she didn't make the king.
Why
You're
not?
saying because she held the star?
Yeah, once the star is given.
Don't you have to authenticate it to stay, go through?
No, that's just for proof. Yeah.
So what are we?
The Chachamim say Tikra Ksubasa v'taman al matnasa, that it's too late. She's lost her lien on this property from the ksuba because she accepted it as a gift. And even though she could still, the Rashbam spells this out like very clearly, it doesn't mean that she can't collect her ksuba anymore. She could collect her ksuba from any other property. But on this property itself, she's forgiven the lien on it. So she can go to other properties, but could be he doesn't have other properties. But what happens now is that she's forgiven the lien of the ksuba. The guy shows up and she's claiming that I got it as a gift, but his promissory note precedes the gift. So she's going to end up losing it now. It's going to come out, she's bald from both sides. That's an expression with the fellow that had a young wife and an old wife, and the young wife pulled out all his white hairs, and the old wife pulled out all his black hairs, and he was bald from both. So that's the Gemara's expression that you lose out from both sides. It's you're in trouble.
So what I understand is that basically you can't double dip. You get the Suba money and
The gift.
Yeah. At the beginning. Those are two
Well,
separate
she
things.
can't
You
hold the
combine
lien, but according to the Chum, she's not holding the lien on the property that she's already been given as a gift. She doesn't have it and have a lien on it. That's what the Chum are saying. She's forgiven the lien.
the lien, but that's what who's the creditor? Someone else?
No, her husband was the person that she was going to be collecting this super from.
Mhm.
The husband just gave her a big gift.
Right.
So, but now the gift that she got is now disappearing from her because a promissory note shows up. Someone's going to take it away. So she says, well, let me get that as my ksuba. And he says, but you've forgiven the ksuba, the lien of the ksuba on this specific property when you received it as a gift. Rabbi Yehuda Hanachtem, Rabbi Yehuda the baker, said, I looked him up in this in the Quran. He's apparently he's one of the 10 people that were killed by Hadrian. Yeah, 10 martyrs. Yeah, he's not in the list. In the list, we only put the famous ones.
Mhm.
You know, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel and Rabbi Shmuel, Kohen Gadol and Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Chutzpah and Turgaman and those. But there's there's a few more that aren't in that Yom Kippur davening. Rabbi Yehuda Nachman says, Maisa, there was a story, and over there they think maybe he's one of Rabbi Akiva's earlier students. Yeah. There was a story, V'ira davar babasa chaysi kala. Yeah, that's what they write over there. Did they write that it's part of the 24,000?
No.
What do they say?
It says Rabbi Yehuda the baker lived in a generation of Rabbi Akiva and may have been one of his students. His statements are mentioned in both.
Oh, may have been one of his students.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so he says a story happened with my niece, who's also my daughter-in-law. It means his son married his cousin, right? His niece, which is also his daughter-in-law. His son married his cousin. Apparently, he had given her a gift. He'd given her his property as a gift. And then a promissory note appears from some other guy. A creditor shows up and wants to take the property. And Ba'amru, and they said, Tikra ksubasa v'tamid al matnasa. You're gonna have to tear up the ksuba, and you hold it as just as a gift. You hold the property just as a gift. As the gift, you're not going to be able to keep it because the promissory note precedes the gift. Mikan come out, you're bald on both sides. The time, what's the reason for this? Because why does she lose the property? Because there was a promissory note. But if there was no promissory note, Kanya, she would acquire it. Gemara says, what's the case? If we say it's talking about a person that was on his deathbed that said he's giving all his property to his wife. You told me in the last Gemara that if he gives all his property to his wife, if there are sons there, he is only making her a caretaker, a trustee of the property, and he wants the sons to respect her. He wasn't really giving it to her. So here we see he was giving it to her. Elalav v'bari. It must be that there's a difference between if he's on his deathbed and he gives it, where over there he's worried that they're not going to respect her after he dies. But over here, when he's still healthy, when he gives it to her, he's really giving it to her. And that would be an answer to Rava's question. V'bari hey, that's how we started the Gemara today. What's going to be if he's healthy? Is it going to be a gift, or is he making her a trustee? But here we see that it's actually a gift based on this price.
Even as a gift, they could come and take it from her.
Even as a gift, yeah. They can take it because of the promissory note, but without the promissory note, it's hers.
If the husband doesn't have any other property,
If the husband doesn't have any other property, she's going to lose out on this. But if he does get property, she can collect from that. In the ksuba it says the kanoi the asadan al miknei, what I've acquired and what I in the future will acquire. The ksuba is subjugated, has a lien on it to any property that he's going to acquire in the future.
Husband passes out to his.
And there's no more property, she loses out. Yeah. Okay. The Gemara answers, you don't have to say that. You could say Lailam b'shchib mira. You could say it's still talking about a shchib mira. Vavira mukula b'kulo. And Ravina mukula b'ishta grusha. Just like in the last Gemara, we said that it doesn't apply to every single woman. So we'll explain it according to those opinions, that there are certain women that it doesn't apply to, where the husband does not want to make that wife a trustee because it's his ex-wife. And he's actually just giving her a gift. And the same thing would apply if it was only his betrothed wife. The same thing would happen over here. Okay. The Rashbam says that our case was not talking about the divorcee. Well, maybe it is. Yeah, no, not the divorce. The Rashbam was saying that it's not the bas. There was another option over here, according to Rav Avira, that it could have been the bas Eitzel Abanim. If he gives all his property to his daughter, that was another option where he wasn't doing that. It was machlekes if he was doing that to make her a trustee or not. That would work. A daughter amongst sons. Okay. Amar Rav Yosef Bar Minumi, Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Yosef Bar Minumi says in the name of Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman is the major paisek in Dini Mamanis. In monetary law, Rav Nachman is a big opinion, big say. He says in the name of Rav Nachman, halacha. The halacha is tikrak subasa v'tamid al matnasa. We tear up the ksuba. We give her the ability to keep it as a gift, and it turns out that the promissory note shows up and she loses it as the gift, and turns out that she's bowled from this side and from that side. In other words, when she accepted the gift, she has forgiven the lien of her ksuba on this property. Gemara says, the fact that she had forgiven that gift, that's only because she wasn't expecting that this should happen, that she should lose it. So we think that Rav Nachman would go after an assumption that if a person makes some sort of deal, not knowing a certain piece of information, then and then he finds out. So we follow what he would have done. We follow what he would have thought because he didn't have that piece of information.
Is this conclusion because of the type of gifts that her husband is giving her? I mean, I'm a little troubled by this. Today, husbands give their wives gifts. I give my wife is a beneficiary of my life insurance policy. That's a gift. I didn't mean that would preempt her ksuva.
No, so what that means now is that the ksuba could be collected from other things.
Yeah, but so the point is that today, husband gives wife's gifts. And the gift is a gift. It's not meant to be satisfy anything else.
Yeah, so whatever is given as a gift, according to this, the lien of the ksuba is not on that anymore. It's already hers.
But it hasn't satisfied her ksuba. She still has the right to her ksuba.
She has the right to the ksuba, and she collects it from whatever property she hasn't received. Yes, she still is owed her ksuba, even though she's received gifts. What we're saying here is that the lien of her ksuba does not go on the property that's already been given to her. The lien of the ksuba keeps falling off that property that she's been given. It
mhm.
remains on the rest of the property.
So all this discussion of this opinion that her ksuva has been satisfied because she took property.
No, not been satisfied. It means the lien has been lost to it. We're only talking about the lien being lost from that property that she's been given.
Okay,
That's
thank
an
you.
important point. Yeah. And the joke that they send out, the Daf Yomi, the Milsa B'dichsa that Moshe introduced me to. So they send, this guy who goes to a perfume store, and he says, I want to buy my wife a French perfume, a fancy perfume. I said, oh, your wife is going to be really surprised. He says, yeah, she was actually expecting a diamond necklace. Yeah.
How did he know that his book?
Sorry, so you said that she gets the present, the lien goes on
Yeah.
That
property.
specific item, that specific property, and goes on, and it remains on the rest of the properties.
So what's the big deal?
Well, it turns out that maybe he didn't have other properties,
Oh,
and the property that she's been given as a gift is now been taken away from her, been confiscated because of a promissory note that preceded the gift. And she ends up with nothing. That's the complication there. Okay.
The property changes owners, so the property doesn't have the lien, but the lien stays attached to the estate.
Right.
which lien?
The lien of the
Doesn't have
ksuba, that she can come and collect the ksuba.
So if he gets no property or anything like that.
So it goes like this. It says Reb Nachman doesn't follow an umdana. How do they translate umdana? Assessing. Doesn't follow the principle of assessing intention. Intention. But we have a brisa that says, let's say his son went to a faraway country, and then there's a rumor that the son passed away. So he wrote a will that he gives all his property to whoever, his friends and everyone. And his son shows up. So the first opinion is matanasi matana, that what he gave it to, it's already given, it's too late. And Reb Shimon ben Manasseh, Reb Shimon Manasseh says, no, it's not. This is all based on a false assumption. If he would know that his son was alive, he never would have given it. Rav Nachman, Reb Shimon ben Manasseh, and Rav Nachman says, Allah is like Reb Shimon ben Manasseh, which means according to Rav Nachman, you follow the umdana, you follow the assessed intention. And over here, she never would have forgiven the rights to the lien of the ksuba on this property if she would know that she wouldn't be keeping it. Remember the boss? Glekel of Hamlin? When the father-in-law hears about Shabsai Tzvi, he sells this property for a ruble, and he goes to Eretz Yisrael, and he comes back afterwards, after it was all a fake, comes back, he wants the property back. He said, I only sold it because I thought I wouldn't need it. Because I thought Shabsai Tzvi was Mashiach. And now he wants it back. That little plot over there in the Abner Gold series, this is his books. So they took it from Gluckle, that same it came from a real story from Gluckle of Hamlin that really happened. Anyway.
These are similar cases. It's
Right.
just different circumstances.
Right.
This man's
With the ksuba.
son
Right.
passed away
Right.
Differently.
That's the problem, because we're saying Rav Nachman is saying that she's losing out, and over here Rav Nachman is saying that we would assume that he never would have given it if he would know his son's alive. Where it says Shani Hasam Denichale the Tepikala Kala the Kasvinu Naale Lahan Nachasim. This is different because she actually is very interested in this gift, even though she may end up losing it, but she's interested in the honor of that her husband cares about her so much that he wrote all his property to her. She just likes that whole, she's a little vain, but she likes that whole concept that her husband just gave her everything and all of this. Turns out she doesn't keep it, but she still has some satisfaction from that whole transaction. Because of that, she's Michael the lien on this property of the Xuma.
You said that she did forgive it because she had been.
Yeah.
It was-
Right.
on her
She wouldn't have forgiven him. And now we're saying that there's one factor that you're missing. Over there, when there's an assessed intention, there was no benefit at all to giving it to others. But over here, there was a benefit to giving it to her, even though, right, there's one slight difference, and that is that she had some benefit along the way of getting it.
So she did have the benefit. If she would have known to take it as a gift, you're opening the door.
We're saying not like that. We're saying that she's happy to have this. You know, I think she's a little vain. You know, she gets the respect from all her friends. That she gets a fancy car for a little bit. I don't think about the future. Or maybe she is thinking about the future. Her husband will get more money, and she'll collect the tzuba from other property. Yeah. Okay. Tanan Hassam. We learned over there in a Mishnah. Where's over there? Is Zechtes Peya. Says a Kaisev Nechasav Lebanov, the Kasav Lish the Karka Kolsho. He writes the property to his children, and he gives his wife something as well. In that transaction, because the wife is agreeing to this distribution of the estate, so of the ksubasa, she loses her ksuba. Gemara says, "Mishum dekasav lakarka kolsha of the ksubasa." How'd that happen? You give her a little piece of property and she loses the ksuba. What's going on? Amarav. So Rab explains. We're gonna have a few explanations here. The mezaka lehen al yada, that she was the one that was making the kinyan for them. You know, so you lift a cloth when you make a kinyan. It was her cloth. She's clearly being Michael. She's saying, "Yeah, you take this. Yeah, lift it up. You take this. Lift it up. Lift up the cloth." She's the one that's involved in this distribution. Shmuel Amar, the mechalak lefanav sekes. The husband was there. He was saying, "You're going to get this. You're going to get this. You're going to take this," and she was quiet. She didn't protest. That means she's Michael the Ksuba. Now, if she wouldn't be getting anything, then we would say the reason why she was quiet is because she doesn't want to upset her husband. But later on, she's going to come to court, if anything, and she's going to make a different claim. So we wouldn't believe it. But now that she's getting something, we say maybe this is satisfactory to her. Okay. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, Amar, Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, we're jumping to Eretz Yisrael. We did a Rav and Shmuel and Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina says, where he actually tells her, take this property as your ksuba. Well, pretty clear. She's Michael everything else. There's more she's supposed to get more. She's Michael. Well, and these are leniencies that we have with the ksuba. In other words, we don't. A wife gets a ksuba. She gets money if there's a divorce or if he passes away. But we know that the wife wants to be married as well. It's tav l'mesav tandum l'mesav armlo. She would have been married even without a ksuba. She just wants to be together with someone. She needs that company. She doesn't want to be alone. So she would have gotten married. So therefore, we don't treat the ksuba. That's why we don't give her the idios, the best property, right? We can give her the lowest property, and she's still satisfied. That's okay. Tanan. Today? You're asking today? Today is different in the business world.
Today the woman will take you for everything you got.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different story, right? Or maybe there's some basic nature
You
here.
can't get
that's,
married today
Chazal,
unless you plan ability to possibly live singly. So have a, just give you life for them.
No, we're getting a lot of marriage advice around this table now. So, Tanan, it's going to the singles, they're getting the brunt of this advice. Tanan, Rabbi Yossi says, Im Kiblal, Rabbi Yossi adds in, he's adding to he's arguing on the Tanakama. If she accepted, as this property is being distributed, she accepted what's this about this distribution, that she's not getting it. The full ksuba over here, she's getting a property and the other kids are getting so much. Even if it wasn't written to her, that's already acceptable. Of the ksubasa, she's already lost the ksuba, just the fact that she accepted it. Now, Michlal, this implies from the fact that Rabbi Yossi argues, this implies the Tanakama Savra Ksiva b'Kabbalah Bay. It must be that the Tanakama held that you need both. It's from the wording of the way it's put over here, that if she accepts it, even if it's not written, it sounds like that according to the Tanakama, you need to have it written and accepted. Accepted and written. Now, if that's the case, then the answers that we were given before, that how did she lose her ksuba? Said, well, Rav said that she was the one handing out the cloth to lift up. Shmuel says she was quiet. Rabbi Yossi says that that this is what he told her. That's not really what's happening. It's what's really happening here is that it's being written to her that she's losing the ksuba. Yeah. So maybe we can say that there's no machlekes here. You see, if there's a machlekes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi, then that would mean that according to the Tanakama, she's actually accepting in a written document that she's losing the ksuba. But if we say that it's all Rabbi Yossi, then we can say it goes either it was verbally or it was written. You can do not that it was accepted verbally and accepted written, or it just went, you have oyha. Either it was this way or it was that way. But if that's the case, then we'd be able to say that if it wasn't accepted and it was just written in a document that this is going to be your property and this is going to be their property, then how does she lose the ksuba? How does she lose the ksuba just because she got a property? So we'd have to go back to the Rav Shmuel and Rabbi Yisrael and explain how this transaction took place and that she was agreeing. We're assuming that she was agreeing. There's two options. Either she agrees verbally, she actually says that, okay, this will be in the place, or she got a document. And in that document, we're going to have to make assumptions. And what would those assumptions be based? That's Rav Shmuel and Rabbi Yisrael that she was standing there when she hears that the property is being distributed and she's quiet, that type of thing. We could say, and the whole Mishnah would just be Rabbi Yossi, and it's oyha. Either she accepted it or it was a written document. And if in the case of a written document, we would have the explanations of the Amiraim. Problem is, Vahatanya, but it's taught in a Brayso, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, Emasai. When do we say this? Now we have a rule, an interesting rule in the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Whenever Rabbi Yehuda says Bameh Devarim Amurim, he's always arguing. Whenever he says Emasai, he's always explaining. That's a rule in Rabbi Yehuda. I forget where it is. Safra maybe. It's Rashbam brings from Sanhedrin. Emasai de Rabbi Yehuda lefarish divrei chachamim. Yeah, whenever Rabbi Yehuda says the words Emasai, when do we say this? He's not limiting the words of the chachamim. He's saying what the chachamim themselves held. when he says Bamed Devarim Amurim, he's arguing on the Chachamim. He's saying the Chachamim would say in all cases, but I say Bamed Devarim Amurim differently. When he says the word Eimasai, right? Is that in the notes? Do you have that in the notes? The difference between Bamed Devarim Amurim and Eimasai? It shows up in the Gemara. Okay. So the problem is that Rabbi Yehuda says Eimasai Shahaisa Sham Bekibla Aval Haisa Sham V'Lei Kibla. That's only if she was there and she accepted it outright. But if she was there and she didn't accept it outright, that she's losing the ksuba. Or she accepted it, but she wasn't there at the time of distribution. Then she doesn't lose the ksuba. Now the problem is that if that's the case, and it's clearly that she's accepting it 100%. So what were these Amirayim explaining that we're making these assumptions that because she was standing there in quiet, it's not because she was standing there in quiet. Rabbi Yehuda says clearly that it's because she was accepting it. Tiyufta de kula tiyufta. It's a question on all those Amirayim that before that said that this was just an assumption that she was giving up the ksuba. Amalei Rav Rav Nachman. Rav says to Rav Nachman, Ha Rav, we have the statement of Rav, Ha Shmuel. Rav is considered a student of Rav Nachman. We have Rav, we have Shmuel, Ha Rav Yesi Bar Chanina, Mar my Svirlo. What do you hold? He is asking Rav Nachman, what do you hold like? Amalei, he says, I hold Shani Yaimer Kivin Shasa Shutif Bein Abanim of the Tsubasa. The fact that she's becoming a partner amongst the sons, that makes her that she's giving up the ksuba. Now,
that she waives her rights.
She waives her rights, yeah. Now, once she gets a property, and the sons get a property, so she's Michael. And he's paskening like Rabbi Yossi that says once it's written, once there's a document written, then that's good enough. Now, the Rashbam brings from his grandfather, which is his grandfather, Rashi. Brings from his grandfather. Matzasi b'tshuvas Rabbeinu Shloima Zikni Zatzal. Brings from his grandfather, Rabbeinu Shloima. Rashi. He says that Rav Nachman is really following Shmuel, and he's saying that as long as she's quiet, that's because Rav Nachman is a student of Shmuel. And as long as she's quiet, that's going to be enough. That's what Shmuel said on the last page. We had a kasha on it. He says, yeah, that kasha was according to the Tanakama, but according to Rabbi Yossi, that holds that with writing it, it's enough. So then, writing it, and she's quiet, that's going to be good enough.
Does that mean he had a document from his grandfather?
Yeah.
So then why do we need him?
It's probably what's happening here that it wasn't a commentary on Masechta Bava Basra. It was a response that Rashi was writing to someone, and in that response he explained this Gemara, so he's extracting it to explain this Gemara. Yeah. Okay. So Itmanami, we have another statement. Amar Rav Yosef Bar Minyumi, Amar Rav Nachman. Even Shasashutiv Mein Abanim of the Ksubasa. If she is becoming a partner with the other sons and others, the property is being distributed, she loses the rights to the lien on those properties that are being distributed now to collect the ksuba from them. So what's happening now? Before we were saying that she's being gifted a property and she loses the lien of her ksuba on that gift. If somehow that property is confiscated from her, she can't collect the ksuba from that. Now we're saying she's being gifted and the other sons are being gifted as well, a property, and she's losing the rights of her ksuba from the property of the other sons. Because at the same time she's standing there, she's watching it being distributed. Obviously, she's forgoing that the claim on those properties. But if she didn't receive her whole ksuba, she can collect from other properties that the husband purchases. Not losing the ksuba. She's losing the lien of the ksuba on those properties that are being gifted to her.
That's good for her.
Yeah. If he acquires more property.
Without liens on.
Yeah. Yeah, but if he doesn't acquire more property, she loses out because she just watched her inheritance, her
so
ksuba
she
get
might not.
distributed to the people. It's not so much fun.
Is there a
Okay.
halacha of how she's supposed to be supported?
Yeah, she could either live on the estate and she doesn't take the ksuba. She lives on the estate until she's married, or she takes the ksuba and she moves off the estate.
But the son's inheritance comes before. So
Yeah. No, not before the ksuba. She collects the ksuba from the estate.
before.
Yeah. 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 If there's any debts, they get paid before the inheritors show up.
Don't worry, everyone.
Do we have any questions for Yitzi?
Letting my time in.
I'll start running the clock on everybody.
So
He says he's going to run the clock if we ask him questions.
aside from the scuba, if they were leasing as opposed, right?
Yeah.
There's no such concept of alimony.
What exactly is alimony? Is alimony different than the
It's like,
ksuba?
monthly
What is
payments.
alimony?
Yeah.
It's not child support, right? So is alimony be comparable to a ksuba? Support. Alimony is
But a
support.
scuba is a one-time
One-time
lump sum.
payment. Yeah, so
Alimony.
so it would work. It would
Alimony is like living off this.
is living off the estate. So that means she didn't take the ksuba.
She didn't take this.
When she takes the ksuba, she doesn't get the alimony.
Oh, but here they get suba and
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah,
The wife benefits from getting
I go back to my first answer.
a civil divorce, right? The wife would get more from a civil divorce than from a Besdin
Yes.
divorce. Yeah. Okay.
I guess there's a question about whose debt gets paid first. Because ksuba is a debt to her, and then the husband borrowed money from other people who show up with a star cove.
That would work on whose document was first.
Whose document was first?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to look at the date in the document. And then the liens on the property would be based on the first lien. Okay.
So the father-in-law should check this out before he gives a big dowry. Right?
Oh,
check out the son-in-law's estates.
Yeah, if there are other people with a prior claim.
Yeah.
sounds like, by the way, that sounds like a father-in-law talking.
I had a story. It's a crazy story. There was a bacher that was, he had a big debt. He tried to make a business in China. It's a bacher, like a young kid, but he thought he could do this business, a camera business. Anyway, he lost $50,000 that he borrowed and whatever. He had a debt that he was working, paying it back. Anyway, he's going out on a shidduch. Someone, he asked me, do I have to tell her that I'm in debt? I said, I'm not sure. I have no experience. Let me ask someone older than me. I asked. They said by the third date, she should know. Anyway, I hear he's engaged and everything. All good. About 6 months later, I get a call from his relative, not from his relative, from the wife. Says something about the debt. Did you know about this? I said, I told him he's supposed to tell her. He said, let me find out. So turns out
Engaged after 2 dates.
what happened was they went out twice.
Oh,
Wow.
They said, let's get engaged. He said, no, 1 second. I think we have to talk. It was like rushed in. Anyway, they got engaged after 2 dates. And
that's a hack.
anyway, okay, but yeah, like I don't know how things are gonna play out. Boy, Rava has a question. What happens if the person is healthy? This question's been going on for a while. Okay, a very interesting question, because when this is being distributed and he's on his deathbed, she's already very aware that he's not going to acquire any more property for the ksuba. And if she's meichel it, so then we say she knows what's happening and she's meichel the lien on those properties for her ksuba. But let's say he's still healthy, and the property is being distributed now, and she's expecting that there's going to be more property because he's a business, he's a handler, he's going to come up with more property, with more stuff. So the reason why she wasn't making a big deal about it is because she's expecting him to get more, but she was never really meichel. If the problem would arise, she would come and make a claim. She's not saying anything now because she's expecting him to have more property. But she's not really being meichel. She's not aware that this is it. So maybe when he's healthy, she was never meichel the lien on those properties.
Yeah, could she use that later?
And then she's going to use that later. That's the Gemara's guide. Or maybe the fact is,
The husband doesn't acquire any new properties and say, "Oh, I just gave up on the other one," thinking that he'll
Right.
acquire new.
right? This is the Gemara's question. Do we say that I thought he was going to get more property, that's why I didn't make a claim, but I was never really forgiving? Or do we say that no, the fact is he doesn't have now. She saw that he was losing all the property, it was being distributed. Okay, take it. Leaves this as a question. The person, he said to them, Halga lebras. Half my property goes to my daughter. Halga lebras. The other half of my property goes to my other daughter. V'tilsa leitas peperi. And then a third of the fruits is going to go to my wife. So she's getting fruits. She's not getting property. Ikla Rav Nachman l'sura. Rav Nachman shows up in the surah, and Ola Gabe Rav Chisda comes to ask him a question. I'm like, yeah, Gavnamai. They ask Rav Nachman, who's the main Paisik and Dini Mamanas. So what would be in this case? Is she forgiving her ksuba from what was just distributed to the daughters? Right? Amalei, Hachiyam Shmuel. Shmuel says, I feel like even if she's just getting one tree for the fruits, and when everything else is being distributed, that means that she's forgiving the lien on all the other properties. He says to me, over there she was getting a tree, and the tree was for the fruits. I understand it wasn't really the tree, she can't replant it, but she was getting something for the fruits. But over here, the fruits that she's getting is not even attached to the ground. He said, Metaltli Kamrit, you were asking me about personality. That's what you were asking me. Metaltli Vade like I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about if she was getting a piece of property, then we would say she was forgiving the lien on the other properties that are being distributed. There was a person that said to them, I guess, kind of his deathbed or something. Tlas lebras, v'tilsa itas. Dividing the property into three parts. His one daughter gets a third, his other daughter gets a third, and his wife is getting a third of the property. Okay? We know what the halacha in that case is that she's losing the lien of the ksuba as it's being distributed to those daughters. One of the daughters died. Rav Papa thought to say, 1 second, she's already forgiven the lien of the ksuba on that property. Now that property is available for people to collect, right? So she could come in and take, but no, she's already forgiven the lien. Amalei Rav Kana says to Rav Papa, Ila hadakani, ila shakla. If the husband would have acquired more property, would she not be able to collect from the new property that he's acquired? She would be able to. We're going to imagine that this is a property that's going to the husband. As if he's acquiring a new property, she's able to collect from new properties that he acquires. Anything that he's going to acquire in the future has a lien. The ksuba has a lien on that. So this property that was already bequeathed to the daughter is now as if it's going back to the husband, and she can collect from it. Okay, let's leave it here.
Just stopping there, we started.
Have a good day.